Good morning. I'm pleased to announce the release of the Canadian Finance and Leasing Association's latest report, Canada's Economic Rocket Fuel, How a Switch in Canada's Financing Paradigm Could Help Solve Its Productivity Problem. The CFLA represents Canada's asset-backed auto and equipment finance and leasing industry, which is currently actively financing almost $390 billion worth of the very vehicles and equipment that help make our economy thrive. However, it's no secret that Canada continues to fall behind the rest of the OECD in its productivity output. The CFLA, in conjunction with the C.D. Howe Institute, first raised the alarm bell about this problem 7 years ago in 2018. Sadly, since then, the only thing that has grown is the gap between us and everyone else. But why is this happening? The problem isn't Canadian workers. We're one of the hardest working people in the world. It's a lack of investment. Canadian workers don't have the tools and equipment they need to effectively compete with the rest of the world, particularly our biggest trading partner and neighbor to the south, the US. In fact, the C.D. Howe Institute's 2024 report, Canada Capital Crisis, the Growing Threat of Failing Business Investment and Productivity, stated that Canada's investment in machinery and equipment and intellectual property products is alarmingly low. Machinery and equipment investment per Canadian worker is only 41 cents to every dollar invested in the US, while intellectual property investment per Canadian worker is a meager 30 cents when compared to the US and our counterparts. Investment is the lifeblood of productivity growth, and this lack of investment is a direct threat to our quality of life. Canada is a country of entrepreneurs. 99.8% of Canadian businesses are small to medium-sized businesses with fewer than 500 employees. These businesses account for 88.2% of private sector jobs, 53.2% of GDP, and 43% of our exports. Unfortunately, this important engine of the Canadian economy and Canadian prosperity is struggling. According to the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses monthly business barometer, 51% of small business owners are currently facing difficulties due to borrowing costs. One reason for this interest rate these small to medium business-sized businesses face on their loan relative to loans to big companies, this interest rate spread, as it's called, is the highest in Canada when compared to the rest of the OECD. In fact, at 2.26%, the Canadian interest rate spread is 8 times that of the US, which comes in at 0.28%. So what can we do? This is where our report comes in. It doesn't have to be this way. The good news is that Canada hasn't always lagged behind the rest of the world in productivity, and we have all the tools, ingenuity, and resources we need right here to get back on top. Canadians helping Canadians. Our comprehensive paper proposes 23 practical recommendations grouped into 6 main recommendations to help Canadians bolster our productivity and enhance our competitiveness. They are as follows. Competition. We need to increase Canadian small business growth and productivity by fostering a more competitive financial sector. Mindset. We need to shift governmental and institutional mentality towards small business growth. Access. We need to improve access to capital by leveraging the capacities of smaller, but not only larger financial actors. Partners. We need to elevate the importance of independent financing and leasing companies. Best practices. We need to learn from the international models and promote institutional forward thinking. And finally, strategy. We need to create a long-term productivity strategy rooted in SME growth and increased access to capital. Now, given the limited time available today, let me direct you to the report itself for more detail. As I said, these 6 recommendations are discussed at length and broken out with 23 precise recommendations. I would, however, like to share with you the key takeaway of our report, which is that we need more independent financing and leasing companies with their specialized expertise and existing relationships with smaller businesses to complement the large banks and fill the gaps in the market, focusing on Canadian small to medium enterprises. Moreover, the Canadian government can play a leadership role in this by drawing from international best practices, particularly the British Business Banks Enable program. This report identifies actionable solutions for Canada. These include introducing securitization programs, expanding the Business Development Bank of Canada's indirect lending portfolio, and fostering a more vibrant and enhanced financial ecosystem through open banking. To achieve this, the report recommends that policymakers and industry leaders prioritize innovation, competition, and accessibility in Canada's financial market. This will empower our small to medium businesses to stimulate private investment and sustainably address Canada's productivity problem. Both federal and provincial governments need to make Canadian small to medium businesses a priority and not just say their priority. When we conceived this report just 12 months ago, Canada, with its lagging productivity numbers, was already facing many challenges. It is not lost on me that with today's tariff announcements coming out of Washington, the challenges facing Canadians have dramatically grown, perhaps existentially so. But in adversity, there is opportunity. And in this new economic paradigm, it only means that Canadian solutions to Canadian problems are needed more than ever. Thank you, and I'm willing to take any questions that we may have at this time.
We don't have any question at this time. Is there something you would like to add to your statement?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci. C'est ce qui conclut cette conférence de presse.
Thank you. Merci.